I'm here with Joe Dini, the former Speaker of the Nevada State Assembly and, of course, longtime Yerington resident, and George Dini, his son, who's current mayor of Yerington, and just trying to kind of get their thoughts and input on this whole matter, the Yerington Land Bill and the conditional wilderness component that Senator Reed has asked for. One of the things I think people don't understand is that, and George knows, is that one of the recommendations in one that's included in another bill, that Pine Forest bill up in Humboldt County, is that all the grazing rights stay exactly the same.
You got to get a compromise in this thing, and it's for the betterment of the people. It's a great thing for the people that live here to get the support of the mining industry. Mm-hmm. And have an active mine working in the community. And you know, we had anaconda for 25 years, so we didn't notice any dips in very much and stuff. So it was a godsend, and this is another godsend right there. If we were able to put this together, now you have to take care of those grazers. They've been grazing up there for 100 years, and you got to take care of them. Mm-hmm. They got to have the right to continue to use that grazing land. And the sage grouse, the company has already made a commitment to support in any way they can a compromise on the sage grouse. So they're on board for that. There's a lot of things happening that are good in this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And if you can get a decent land area, it'd be nice to preserve it. And but you know, it's up there, way away from the mine.
Yeah, yeah. That some people don't realize that either. They'll say, well. What? And I said, no, there's no direct connection at all to the mine. It's a total separate area.
There has been some comment about it being right next to it or part of it, and that's the perception that we've been trying to
change.
Lead away from the public having that perception.
You know, so we're trying to characterize it. It's a trade-off, and a lot of people don't like it. But it's a trade-off. Is it a reasonable trade-off to come up with something that's been developed under a systematic analytical process and say, is this the right thing to do? What do you say is the right thing to do if you're a public official? You were in that position many times.
Well, you know, you got to look at the whole picture. And it seems to me like the mining's got a right to come in here and develop its mine. And it can't be held up by the wilderness as long as it's reasonable. And so if it's reasonable, you ought to go for it. And all the public officials should go for it unanimously, to show back in Washington that the people here are for this. Mm-hmm. Because there's plenty of conversation going on in the street. And so somebody else comes up with an idea that there's not enough wilderness. Well, this is a consensus of opinion that they come up with. Mm-hmm. And it's a lifesaver. You know, it's an area that and it's got the clause in there that all the grazing rights are protected. I mean, what else is there to do?
Yeah, what else is there to do if they're included in a protection clause, right?
Yeah.
Even though this has been a very contentious item in Lyon County several years ago. But I do think that Nevada Copper and Resource Concepts have done a magnificent job of addressing all the impacts and getting out there, their boots on the ground, talking to the people, really, it's not the same as last time, and you're right, when if it's a reasonable amount of acreage that we can live with, it's a win for everybody, and I think it's very doable at this point.
Yeah, George, you know, you were familiar with what happened a few years ago when it blew up, and you've seen this. They're not the same, are they?
There are nothing similar.
Right.
And this is the point I make about going out. We've done such a comprehensive inner study with the impact people, you know, and I think that's what didn't happen last time, is that they just were told this was going to happen. And you guys have gone out there and done an impressive job of communicating with them and getting their feelings, letting them decide what they could live with, what they couldn't. And I think that's critical at this point. That's why it's going as good as it's going right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good proposal.
And you know, I mean, that's part of the message that we're trying to get to Washington, because they don't see all the work going behind the scenes, and saying, you know, a lot of people have worked very hard to find a compromise, and you know, there was none of that 4 years ago. Nobody was talking to each other at all.
No. I think more reasonable approach and calmer heads. You know, there's something more at stake this time with the proposed 600 to 800 jobs, which is vital to the well-being of the community. Again, I mean, we can look right out the window and see what I grew up with. He experienced his whole adult life was the Anaconda property with 650 sustainable jobs. We've been without that for 37 years now. Now we have a proposal that the city brought forward several years ago to the Nevada Copper about annexing that property into the city. Mm-hmm. For many reasons. You know, we're very interested in, and it's vital to the community. There's no place to expand our community at the moment, and we can join up with Nevada Copper and enjoy the infrastructure and place it in the proper positionings that will benefit the city later. Does what Nevada Copper needs right now. We anticipate a 25 to 27 year life of the mine. That's what it's all about. To cooperate with each other and get this thing going. You know, of course, the city wants to share with the revenues. Mm-hmm. That has a lot to do with it. But I think, too, when you look at the overall picture of a $1 billion investment, 600 to 800 jobs, 1,000, 1,200 jobs more that come along with it, that's filtered down throughout the state. The tax revenues that could be as much as $20 million to Lyon County, who are desperate for new revenue sources. How can we turn a cheek to this? But it is a compromise, and there are some people in the mix that have to learn what that is.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the comments I've gotten from people as well, you know, we've talked about doing an initial phase of the mine without the land transfer that would be on private land, but people don't realize that the city gets left out of that completely, because there's no annexation, there's no land transfer, and so the mine will go forward, but the city wouldn't get any taxes, right?
That's correct. Mm-hmm. You know, and we kind of fear that scenario, but as the recession progressed over the last 8 years and our revenues have declined, you know, we're really can't afford that impact without revenue. I mean, we can work around it, but we've really spent the last 5 years critically watching every nickel we have come in, and it's, you know, we're no longer capable of, you know, it's going to catch up to us where we might have to lay off people, reduce some services. We've been fortunate not to have to do that yet. But if we add that many people into the community and we have no new sources of revenue, there's just there's no answer for that. I mean, we're going to have to participate with the county and ask for money there, I suppose. But we'd like to. This project brings us into a reality of weaning ourselves off of federal government monies, which we've depended on for the last 10 or 20 years. The city of Yerington's gotten as much as $18 million, $20 million worth of grants and federal aid. You know, we want to be independent. We want to be producing our own cash. We want to not have to always go ask. And this is one way. This is the only way we could do it. Our future is copper mine mining in general. Nevada copper is our future for the community.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of that message, you've been in leadership, Joe, at the legislature, and you know what. Put yourself in a position in Washington. What's the most important message that they have to get back there, the congressional delegation, on why this compromise might be, it should be, you know, undertaken? What would they want to see to be able to say that's a good thing to do?
Well, I think George stated all the reasons that the city of Yerington wanted to see it, and that's the whole story. Let the city of Yerington survive.
Mm-hmm.
They can't continue to go the way they are because it's a no end deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if they can get some jobs here, get the economy going, get everything flowing like it should be, it's just a godsend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a godsend for those people that have lived here all their life and have struggled and put their money back in the community, and they deserve a chance to see the fruition of this project.
Mm-hmm. They deserve a chance to have some input in their own destiny, right?
Yeah, right. And everybody, it sounds like everybody has bent over backwards to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And this proposal is a good sound proposal, and you know, things can happen later on, you know, as the mind draws down or something. It's only 20 years. That's the snap of the finger.
Yeah.
And they want some more, they can go after it. But
Well, that's one of the things that George and Dan and I have been working on, is that you start creating other things right from the start. I've said that you don't convert a mine to another use if you wait till you're done mining.
Right.
I found that out in all over the world, is that it's too late by then.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is one of the best opportunities I've seen, where we start before the mine even starts construction. We're working on
35 years ago when this mine closed down.
Right.
That there was nothing left afterwards. They just shut down.
Yeah.
So if we don't attack it in that fashion, if that's not the manner that we approach right now, is the end game. What can we be doing when the mine stops?
Mm-hmm.
And that's critical.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of this whole proposal, isn't it?
It is a major part of the proposal. It's the sustainability of Yerington.
Yeah.
After mining.
Yeah, and for years, Joe, you worked on a lot of different proposals in the legislature and locally, trying to have that accomplished, right? And it's not an easy thing to do. We found out, is it?
No. It's very difficult after the fact. There's always obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just time to get everybody together and go forward with the project.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hired a good company to do the resource concept is a real fine.
Yeah, they've done a fabulous job. It was
land use company, and I worked with them for a long time.
Yeah, you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
You've known John. John McLean's been around for 30 years, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and he's always done a good job for us.
Yeah.
And he's an unbiased, calls it the way it is.
Yep.
And you know, that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah. Well, that makes a difference if you have a factual basis to make a decision on, right?
Yeah.
Which didn't exist before. It was what our argument has been.
Yeah.
That now we have a factual basis to make some decisions that are based on something other than just somebody's opinion.
Right. RCI went about it that way too. You know, they went independent in there and non-committed to either side.
Right.
Found out all the data they could possibly acquire to put the package together. So it's not biased one side or the other. These are the facts. these are the impacts, these are the players, and this is what could work and what won't work.
Yeah.
It is completely a different approach than the previous attempt for wilderness.
Right. Well, good. Thanks, Joe. Always good to see you. And George, it was a good thing to have you both here talking about this. So.
Thanks. We appreciate the opportunity.